we'll soft launch the rock and roll. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malachei Hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Before we go on, I just want to say for anybody who's wandering in the back and maybe wants a closer seat, there are so many. They're just on the floor right in front of us, and you are invited. You are very invited. Anybody who wants to sit on the floor or dance up front, you are very invited. Very. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech, malachei hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni, barchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech, malachei hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni, bless us. Barchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech, malachei hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem, tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mimelech, malachei hamalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yananai, yananai, anyone setting up a chair in the back, feel free to come set a chair up in the front. Just carry it up here. We got space. Shabbat Shalom, Mishkan people.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, Shabbos. It is so nice to be back here with all of you. Oh my God. Yes. Wait, hang on. I actually want to do that too. Woo! Rhonda, was it your idea to have a pizza gathering right before starting services tonight? Whoever's idea was, that was very brilliant. I'm a fan. Whoever's idea that was, thank you. It was very, and if you missed it, I'm sorry. Next time. And I'm so happy to see so many people. This is the first time we're back since the end of June for a big service like this, and certainly outdoors. And this is maybe my favorite part of the Chicago summer. Like, forget Taste of Chicago. Forget Rib Fest. Forget the Air and Water Show. Really, forget you. But this truly, and we've been so lucky, may it continue to be so, knock on there's nothing wooden up here. Somebody knock on something wooden that we continue to have good weather for these Friday nights. Is there anybody who is here for the first time tonight at Mishkan? Welcome! We are so happy that you are here. I hope that this is a night full of relaxation and opening and blessing. We just welcomed in all the angels, Shalom Aleichem, which is all of you, and also all of the angels around us, this davening team that sounds so beautiful, and is in the process right now of getting ready for high holidays. Hard to believe, but it's 2 months away, which feels like a long time, but is actually a short time. But now, in this moment, the sun is setting on the week, and the sun is setting on the day. And I want to invite everyone to become very present in this moment here with the sound of children laughing and whatever sounds we may hear, like the air and water show rehearsing their moves. And the sound of people on either side of you singing and just coming into a feeling of being in loving, supportive Jewish space here tonight for Shabbat. I want to invite you, if it's possible, to sit up a little bit straighter in whatever position you're sitting, to close your eyes and exhale and release your shoulders. And if you've been holding your breath all day or all week, to like really exhale and even audibly sigh and just let it go. There's not much of a breeze surrounded by buildings as we are, but to just feel the gift of getting to be outdoors. Like Rabbi Nachman says, everyone should go outside every day and pray, he says. But we're not always so lucky to get to be surrounded by dozens and dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of people getting to sing in Hebrew and make harmony and settle into the presence of Shabbos, surrounded by love. So welcome. Welcome to all of you, every one of you in all parts of each individual one of you. And we're going to begin with Higalena. Reveal yourself, beloved. Spread over all of us the shelter of your peace. I'm conscious that many people in this room over the course of the last month and a week that we haven't met have done some fun summer travels. Not everybody, but many people. And I'm curious just to hear, like, where are some of the places that your feet have taken you over the last couple of weeks this summer? Just like shout it out. Peru, the Berkshires? Were you the one who said Peru, or where else? Ooh, Ashland, Oregon. Asheville, North Carolina. Memphis.
New
New Orleans. Ohio.
Turkey? Did I hear Turkey?
Did we hear Turkey? Florida. Torquay? Not to be confused with Turkey. Iceland. Is there ice in the summer? Yeah. Okay. Lots of it. Okay. That's good. Great. I was in Israel for 3.5 weeks.
Where are you wrapping this?
Yes, that's right. No, I was in Israel for 3.5 weeks. Anyone else? Okay. Well, I sort of feel like we travel and we learn things, and then we come back and we usually forget what we learned, even if we meant to remember it. You know, we said to ourselves, like, I'm going to be different when I come home. And then the second you got home and, opened up your front door, like, all of a sudden you were the person you were when you left, except you're not. But maybe the shifts are just going to be subtle. But I want to invite us to bring in a Shir Chadash, a new song, as we go into Psalm 96 and, invoke the need every single week on Shabbat to sing something new, to do something new, even though, actually it's the same old tune. We've done this one before. But For anybody who's traveled anywhere, and even if you haven't, let your mind wander over the last few weeks and think about something that actually has changed you a little bit, that you want to hold on to and help animate you in this moment as we sing. A little bit of joy, a little spark of adventure, a little bit of confidence. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruchu Shemo, Basru Miyom Le'yom Yeshuato, Sapru Bagoyim Kevodo Bechol Ha'amim Niflotav Ki Gadol Adonai U'becholam Me'od Norahu Kol Elohim Yishtachavu Ladonai B'hadrat Kodesh Chilu Mipanav Kol Haaretz Imru V'Goyim Adonai Malach Avtichon Tevel V'Timot Yadin Amim B'Nesharim Yismechu Hashamayim Tagel Haaretz Hiram Hayam Umelo Yalos Sadai V'chol Asher Bo Az Yeranenu Kol HaTzeyar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishvot Haaretz Yishvot Tevel V'Tzedek Ve'amim Be'emunato Matthew's going to teach us a tune.
So we have a new Orzarua. This one is by Nava Tehila, and it has kind of a call and response feel. Some of you may know it. It's in a very strange meter that really gets your blood going and jumping. It's good. So we're going to sing it once a little bit through, just so you get a feel, and then we'll do a call and response. You ready, D-Team?
Zarua la tzadik, zarua la tzadik. Or zarua la tzadik, zarua la tzadik. Or zarua la tzadik, zarua la tzadik. Or זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה.
That's all it is. So we'll try the melody once, then back and forth. Yeah, ready?
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק.
Good, one more time.
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק,
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק.
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק,
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק. ולריש.
ולישראל שמחה,
ולישראל שמחה.
ולישראל שמחה,
ולישראל שמחה. Let's try that one more time.
ולישראל שמחה,
ולישראל שמחה. Yeah, you sound great.
ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה.
Let's sing some O's.
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק,
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק.
ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה, ולישראל שמחה. אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק,
Last time.
אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק, אור זרו על הצדיק, זרו על הצדיק.
Shkoyach. Thank you, Matthew. Oh, music director. Ana Bekoach. stand and we turn toward the direction we walked in. As we say, Boi v'shalom and Boi kala, we hold out our hands and we bow and we invite in the Shabbos Queen, bringing with her all the openness and gentleness and generosity and kindness to ourselves and others, putting down the work week that we need out of this Shabbat. May it come in peace. Boi v'shalom.
You can be seated. So just in case you came a few minutes after we started, or somehow you snuck past our friendly Shabbat greeters or the many smiling faces that turned toward you, I just want to say welcome to Mishkan. It's so
Thank
nice
you.
to have you here.
It's so nice to be here.
It's so nice. It's so nice to be here. It really, I was just sitting here right now and be like, this is great. Like, I get to do this for work. Like, that's pretty cool. And if you want more Mishkan, we have so much stuff coming up. This Monday evening, we start our observance of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which Rabbi Lizzie will be speaking about more later. But it would be wonderful to see you there. We'll be doing a film.
And by wonderful, we mean terrible, because the theme of the holiday is pain and suffering.
Well, it'll be wonderful to be in destitute sadness with you.
Yes, it would be great to be that with you.
There will be a film screening, which is a creative retelling of the destruction of the Second Temple. We'll be reading from the book of Eicha, the book of Lamentations. We'll be singing keynotes, traditional elegies, and we'll be in community together. And so I hope to see many of you there. Next week as well, high holiday tickets. I know. High holiday tickets for builders will be released. So if you are a builder, keep an eye on your inbox for information on how to get your tickets for the high holidays. And if you're like, oh my God, I want high holiday tickets to Mishkan, and I don't want to wait for the general release, you too can become a builder. And builders are our form of membership. It's just saying that you are somebody invested in helping us build this amazing community that you see around you. And thank you to the over, I think, 130 builders who showed up for pizza in the park before this. It was really lovely to see all of you. Shabbat next week will be on Saturday at CJDS. Following Friday, we'll be back here. But if you miss us in between then, and you happen to be in your 20s and 30s, and you either live in Wicker Park, Logan Square, or have always dreamed of schlepping to Wicker Park or Logan Square, I'll be joining Rav Moshe at Base Logan Square for 20s and 30s Shabbat on Friday, 8/16. Mensch Academy, our religious school, is now enrolling. These are all things I was told to say, right? I mean, our email is so long and beautifully composed and only comes out once a week. We don't spam you, so you should sign up. Next week, got a music jam. We have a high holiday class on death and dying come up. We have so many amazing things. Take a look at our website.
Can
sign
I
up for
just
our
put in a
newsletter.
plug for the music jam?
Yes, please do.
Matthew does these quarterly, and it's an opportunity if what the davening team does looks fun to you, or just singing and playing an instrument and rocking out to music that is on theme for whatever the season is. And by next Thursday, Tisha B'Av will be history, and the prospect of renewal and love and transformation, the high holiday season, will be in full swing. And so if you want to do that, join Matthew on Thursday night. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's you strum the guitar, so I didn't know if that was my Oscar speech exit music. So I just wanted to there. So yes, I want to give time for the music jam. You should show up. All skill levels welcome. So this is a really special season at Mishkan because we are in conversion season. In addition to warming up for the high holidays, I actually see some of our conversion students here in the room, and we actually just finished all of our meetings with Batei Din, which is a group of 3 rabbis who sits down with each and every conversion candidate, all 29 of them this year, and have conversations about their journey. Why do they want to be part of the Jewish people? And it's probably not surprising, many people walk into that space extremely nervous about being there and sitting at a table with 3 rabbis. And of course, I understand where that feeling comes from. It's hard not to be nervous. This is a big deal. This is a big moment of decision-making and choosing in a way that's so beautiful and so self-actualizing. But I don't think the people sitting on that side of the table realize how, for those of us on the other side of the table, what an incredible privilege it is to be sitting there and listening to each of these stories, to hear why these individuals are choosing to be Jewish, are choosing to be Jewish. And it's a beautiful reminder that Judaism is pretty cool. Like it's beautiful and it's inspiring and it's life-giving. And to hear how people chose to be part of this community because of tradition or learning, or this is where they found God, or this is where they found love, or this is where they found family in the broadest sense of the word, or this is where they find rhythm and structure, or this is where they find a chaotic kind of joy. This is a place where there is so many ways in which to be oneself, and to be reminded of that as somebody who does this for work is incredibly, incredibly inspiring. What we're doing here right now is also a privilege, and I know that at least most of you chose to be here when you could have been anywhere else on a Friday night. You chose to be here. And just like those conversion candidates that we just met with, each of you came into this space for a reason. And the reason that you came to Shabbat today is probably not the same reason as the person next to you. And actually, the reason that the person next to you came to Shabbat might be a reason that you hadn't even thought of before, of what this space means to that person, what it means to all of us collectively. And so I just want to take a moment, because we're a community that likes to get to know each other, and I would love for you to turn to a neighbor, somebody that you did not come here with. And I know this community well enough. I just saw that you know, pairs looking at each other. I know who you came with. I want you to turn to somebody that you did not come here with. I want you to introduce yourself, say your name, where are you coming from, and why are you here? Why are you here tonight when you could have been anywhere else? And we'll come back together in just a few moments.
Not nutrition, sorry. It's like food studies. Being here, what does it feel like?
I'm here because someone said, like, is this what you want to be doing on a Friday night? And I said, this is awesome.
Somewhat the same. No, not really. Just being able to be outside and not working in the apartment, having to
Oh, are you kidding? No,
feel
Please.
hate that and
Love it.
happy.
Same. Yeah. This is amazing. I just keep staring at the trees.
It's like hard to believe, right?
Right?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
personally, I feel like I'm
So beautiful
also
How many people do you think are here?
being able to
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah,
gosh.
definitely.
It might
Is
Alex
Alex.
here too.
We should definitely get a
Forming
shout out to
Oh,
Michael.
it's
and-
amazing.
Get some new and speak some new. Great.
Yes, totally. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Take it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Should I call him back?
I may or may not be
Yeah, this is a great
that
crowd.
at times. I know it.
Really great crowd. And I love that the kids can play on the.
I know what you're referring to.
It's so perfect.
Okay, I'm gonna call you back together. I know,
That's
I
so
know.
hard.
It's
so
so
hard.
it's like
always.
not fun to interrupt conversations, but the beauty is that we're here together for a little while longer, and you can turn back to that person that you met after we're done with services and see what they're up to afterwards. So speaking of meeting new people, I want to point out at least one new Mishkan staff member who's joining us. Michael, if you'll stand up.
Yay! Welcome to Mishkan!
Slay.
And I don't think Alex, are you here? Go. Okay, great. Alex is coming next week, so we have another new Mishkan staff member to meet next week. But Michael is our new Development Engagement Associate. Did I get the title right? Amazing. So
Who's going to be organizing all the small groups?
exactly. So any questions about getting involved, small groups, the list of ways to be part of Mishkan that I just ran off like earlier, go talk to Michael about them, but also be gentle because he is also getting his feet underneath him right now. But we're so glad to have you here and as part of the Mishkan team. I'm going to have everybody rise as they're able. We're going to open up
Here we go.
to the bottom of page 2, and we're going to face east
Bow.
as we bow. Baruch et Adonai, Yadadai, Hamevorach.
We can turn around.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Le'olam
Take a seat.
Be seated as you notice the evening coming in around you. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamari V'Aravim, Ahavat Olam, Be'Yisrael Cha'avta, Torah Mitzvot Mishkim. Al tasir mimenu lamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. I invite you to cover your eyes. We take one intentional breath for each word of the Shema.
healing. Maybe anyone you came with tonight who needs a prayer for healing. Since I know that I can't hear everyone, you know, if you were in the back, especially if you were to shout it out, I wouldn't be able to hear up here, but the people around you certainly can. And the idea is when we say someone's name out loud or a place, it's like their angel wakes up and attends to them in whatever way that angel in that moment can. So as we go into Hashkivenu, a prayer for shelter, that everyone should be sheltered under the wings of the Shekhinah, should be sheltered with peace, should be enveloped in love, should be cared for, should have enough food, should be safe. Just take a moment if there's anyone whose name you want to say out loud as we begin to pray for all those who need healing and care. For anyone who comes to our morning minyan, you know we have a tradition of praying for all of the minyan mamas. So, for all of the minyan mamas. And anyone whose name you just said, all of the places in the world that need healing. moments here for a personal Amidah, which is to say a few moments of your own time. To pray whatever's on your heart, on your mind, with soft, almost inaudible words. If you have them on the tip of your tongue, if you want to even like walk around the space, like Rebbe Nachman would say, in the manner of, personal prayer, personal audience with God. He recommends people just walk around and talk to God, which now doesn't look so weird because people just do that all day with earbuds in. So, like people are walking around, you think they're talking to someone else. They might be talking to God. They might be doing a Jewish spiritual practice known as Hitbodedut. You never know, and now you know about it. So now that might be you. But that is to say, here in this space, there is the space. If you want to take a brief walk, just to reflect, to let all the singing we've done settle inside of you. You come back, there'll be a sermon and another couple of tunes. And I invite you to take this moment for some personal space and reflection. Much of Jewish spiritual and ritual practice is what one might call sacred theater. We have a couple theater people up here, so they appreciated that. Which is to say, an immersive physical and intellectual set of behaviors that help us tap into a shared memory or feeling, even if we didn't experience it ourselves. And so, for example, at Passover, a Seder table is sacred theater, helping us taste and smell and speak words that point us to a shared memory of our own liberation from Egyptian bondage, even if you've never been to Egypt and even if you were never a slave, which you should thank your lucky stars for. However, at the Seder table, we try to embody it so that we might not just remember it, but self-actualize that and bring the consciousness of that redemption into our lives and into the world now. On Shavuot, a different example, staying up all night learning Torah is sacred theater, embodying the best of what we know Torah can be while we collectively reenact standing at Sinai with a diverse community of people who understand the Torah very differently from each one of us, receiving revelation together and cherishing each other despite all of our differences. As the sun sets this Monday night, Jews all over the world will turn off the lights and sit on the floor and chant the haunting words of Eicha, the Book of Lamentations. This Monday night and all of Tuesday, through Tuesday night, is Tisha B'Av, the 9th of the Hebrew month of Av, the day we mourn the destruction of the first and second ancient temples in Jerusalem. But not only those, but wait, there's more, a whole series of other calamities that have befallen the Jewish people before and since, including mythic tragedies like Moses smashing the tablets that allegedly happened on or around this day in ancient history, and also historical events like pogroms and expulsions and massacres of Jews all over Europe throughout the Middle Ages and modern period. Now, I feel a little bad because since the last time we met, there has been so much good news that has happened in our world. But for the sake of this sermon, I'm not talking about any of that because it's the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av, and the prophet Isaiah has tasked all Jewish communities all over the world before this holiday with the unenviable job of making us all agitated and uncomfortable, as he does in tomorrow's Haftorah. So I'll be focusing on the not good news. So Tisha B'Av is a holiday that many, honestly, non-Orthodox Jews don't really learn about growing up unless you went to camp and your camp did something for it. And that, I think, is partially because this day falls outside of the Sunday school cycle on the calendar, and partially because this holiday is a bummer and it's hard to make fun for kids. I mean, like, people in this community, raise your hand if you did not grow up celebrating or having an awareness of this holiday on the calendar. Yeah, it's not everybody, but it's a lot of people. I certainly did not. But also philosophically, at least in the Reform movement, we didn't celebrate this because in the Reform movement, there's no pretense of mourning the destruction of the temples in Jerusalem because, of course, if not for the Romans sending us into exile, we wouldn't be here practicing modern Judaism, right? Today in diaspora, we would have faded out with all of the other sacrificial cult-based religions all over the ancient Near East. But we're still here. And so many people argue, like, don't celebrate the holiday because there's nothing to mourn. However, Tisha B'Av is sacred theater. The sitting on the floor in the dark by candlelight, the fasting for 24 hours, the not wearing nice-smelling lotion or fancy clothes and shoes, the abstaining from sexual pleasure for a day, the chanting from the most depressing book in the Hebrew Bible, all of these are traditional Jewish mourning practices. And they all kind of help put us in the heart space and head space of collective grief and mourning And so what I would say is, despite my being actually in philosophical agreement with my Reform movement upbringing and colleagues, I still think this holiday is worth celebrating and is sacred theater we desperately need right now. Echa Yashva Badad. The book begins in its characteristic mournful trope. Ha'ira Bati'am Haita Ka'amana. Alas, how could it be? The city that was once full of people sits alone like a widow. Bitterly she weeps in the night. Her cheeks are wet with tears. Of all of her friends, none is there to comfort her. All her allies have betrayed her, have become her enemies. Jerusalem has greatly sinned and therefore has become a mockery. All who admired her despise her, for they have seen her disgraced. She can only sigh and shrink back. That's literally just the first verse of the first chapter. And the book goes on for 5 chapters that way, describing the survivors of Jerusalem's destruction, trading away their goods for scraps of bread, their children carted off into captivity, babies dying for lack of food, the ones who were not turned into food themselves. It's pretty gruesome. The nations of the world jeering in delight to see the downfall of the once great city of Jerusalem. All of this, God, in all of this, God being neither help nor savior, rather silent, apparently in agreement with the destroyers because of Jerusalem's great sinfulness. What was this great sin that the book tells us is the reason this all happened? Our tradition tells us that what led to the destruction of Jerusalem is sinat chinam, gratuitous, baseless hatred, mistrust, and violence. First and foremost, among our own people, stuff we did to one another. And so if we're doing the theater of this day right, we will touch not only the grief of those who lived through that tragedy, but also experience the horror and incredulity and sense of rejection and embarrassment and confusion and shame of our ancestors and of anyone who has been through such a devastating calamity. We will feel all of that ourselves, even just a little. Needless to say, the Jewish tradition does not relish these emotions. Generally speaking, our people is relentlessly optimistic. L'chaim, right? In a world in which so much is broken 364 days out of the year, our tradition admonishes us not to accept the world as it is, not to accept brokenness and oppression as the natural state of things, rather instructs us to envision and create the world as it could be. That's what Shabbat is every single week, is gathering together to imagine and create the world as it could be, even just a little, to be agents of tikkun and healing. That is our job as Jews, 364 days a year. However, not on Tisha B'Av. The optimism of our tradition is matched with a profound wisdom that says we need a place to put our grief. We need a place to put our grief. Not to moralize around it, or do analysis of it, or argue about it, or do advocacy, or weaponize it against someone else, or avenge it, or even heal it. For one day, we are told, sit with the brokenness. Get down into the pit of despair and just cry. Be with the suffering and the heartbreak. I'm just curious, how many people hearing this think to yourself, wow, I would love to participate in a holiday like that this year? Like, that's something I think I need this year. Okay, very interesting. Okay, put your hands down. How many of you are like, that sounds like torture? I feel like this is almost like a Myers-Briggs kind of, it's like a self-analysis. Like, which are your favorite Jewish holidays? Tisha B'Av or like Simchat Torah, And so I think what the tradition is asking us to do is profoundly countercultural and challenging. and counterintuitive. Generally, we like to fix feelings of discomfort we feel. If you're hungry, you eat. You're bored, I don't know, scroll. You're annoyed, scroll or eat. Sad, scroll, eat, distract yourself. Do literally anything other than sit with the feeling of profound sadness. That is generally how we operate. That's why people go to therapy, right? Tisha B'Av is the day we practice doing something very challenging and very simple in the presence of sadness and heartbreak, and that is nothing. An uncomfortable, awkward, painful, disempowered nothing. Precisely the only thing we can do in the face of unimaginable loss. When I was on the flight back from Israel, I spent maybe 2 hours creating a Facebook post in which I had all of the pictures I wanted to share with captions for every picture. And then when I clicked, post, it said, error has occurred. Basically like, figure this out when you get home, not on your airplane Wi-Fi. And then it all disappeared when I got home. So that is to say, 2 weeks ago when I got back, I really, I had a lot to say about my trip in Jerusalem, where I spent 3.5 weeks over the course of July. But that sort of broke my heart. So this is the first time I'm really sharing about it. And the truth is, being there, against the backdrop of Jewish history, which, as I described to you, portrays Jerusalem as a place of desolation and exile. So to be there, as I have many times over many summers throughout my adult life, to study Torah in bustling centers of Jewish learning is a truly astounding turn in the arc of Jewish history. It's something that many of us take for granted, but it's worth just noting against the backdrop of the holiday I'm describing. It was a beautiful and intense time, as you can imagine, to be there. And just to say, what I was doing there was I was studying with a cohort of 25 rabbis at the Hartman Institute, rabbis much more impressive and well-known than myself. And we get, for the next 3 years, to bask in intellectual and spiritual growth with each other and with the scholars from this place. And I am looking forward over the next 3 years, and certainly in advance of a more inspiring holiday, to give you the inspiration that I glean through each trip. But tonight, I need to tell you about heartbreak. My heart broke many times during those weeks. And so, as an intro to Tisha B'Av, as part of Shabbat Chazon, which is, as I said, the prophet Isaiah's admonition that we're actually supposed to begin to descend into that dark place, I offer the following as my own kind of lamentation. My heart broke when we visited the site of the Nova Festival, where hundreds of young people were gunned down and brutalized. And if there are children here, you might want to take them out of here. I should have said that earlier, I'm sorry. And raped and held hostage by Hamas during a rave whose theme was love and light. My heart broke seeing the bomb shelter where a dozen young people were huddled when Hamas terrorists threw in grenade after grenade, resulting in death and disfigurement and hostage-taking, including one Israeli-American named Hirsch Goldberg Poland, who lost his arm that day. And this happened in bomb shelters like that all across southern Israel that day. My heart broke to listen to a Palestinian shepherd named Mohammed describe in his home in the West Bank the harassment and displacement that his family and thousands of people like him are facing daily at the hands of violent Jewish extremists who are emboldened by the fact that everybody's eyes are on Gaza. My heart broke hearing Rachel Goldberg Poland share the daily trauma felt by families of the hostages, of whom her 23-year-old son Hirsch is one, and the frustration of being ignored by their own government and the world. My heart broke as I went to protests on Saturday night and saw the hundreds and hundreds of people asking, yearning, pleading to their own government to end the war and bring the hostages home, and they feel like no one is listening to them. My heart broke to know that millions of Gazans, half of whom are kids, are homeless and helpless to do anything but run or hide, daily under bombs, experiencing conditions not unlike what we read in the book of Eicha. Also feeling let down by their own government and by the diplomatic institutions of the world. My heart broke for the fact that the UN needs to create a new word for the particular kind of terrorism Hamas brought into Israel on October 7th, genocide. I've not heard of that before. It is the war crime of killing some family members, but not all of them, as a kind of psychological torture to hurt people. My heart broke for Emily Rishmawi, who many of you may remember from our trip 2 years ago. She was our tour guide, our Palestinian tour guide on our multiple narratives trip. And she has family in Gaza, and she is married to an Israeli Arab citizen who is a doctor working at Hadassah Mount Scopus in the trauma rehabilitation unit, treating Israeli soldiers returning from Gaza. I could go on. I could go on. And a few things crystallized for me while I was there, which I'll continue to share over the coming weeks. But the biggest thing for me is that heartbreak is powerful and it is all-consuming. And when it is not given a proper recognition, proper kavod, respect, it can metastasize into things far more painful and destructive than heartbreak. Fear, mistrust, dehumanization, violence. No people on earth has a monopoly or is immune from that. So Rabbi Alan Liu, who you know is basically the patron saint of the high holidays in this community, he notices that the rabbis of the Talmud make a strange move when saying that sinat chinam, baseless hatred, causes the destruction of the temple. He says, you know, if you look at history, that's not actually true. What destroyed Jerusalem and sent Jews into exile was the unstoppable power of Rome, marching through the world, mowing down everyone in its path, not infighting among our own people. However, Rabbi Liu listens to what he says the rabbis are doing, and he observes that neither Moses, who wrote the Torah, nor the rabbis who wrote the Talmud actually care one iota about factual history. He says they were spiritual leaders. And so spiritually speaking, there's only one question worth asking when faced with any historic conflict that repeats itself again and again. What is my responsibility for it? And how can I prevent it from happening again? He writes, when things go bad, there is an enormous temptation to blame it on externals, on the evil of others, or on an unlucky turn of events. But spiritually, we are called to resist this temptation, no matter how strongly rooted in fact or reason or history it may seem. Spiritually, we are called to ask, what am I doing to make this recur again and again? Now, I want to be clear, of course. I'm not suggesting that any one person, certainly not anybody sitting here right now, is the cause for a 100-year-long global political quagmire and war. Rather, the question is, how is each one of us plugging into it? How are we participating, even in our own small way, in this unfolding drama, defensiveness, and blame? In what way does each one of us accept some responsibility for creating healing and peace? So Tisha B'Av has been for millennia a space to hold our own heartbreak as a people. You know, we've been through a lot. It's the day to honor that. And specifically, our heartbreak over being exiled and displaced from the land of Israel. But 75 years ago, that actually became a question. Orthodox rabbis asked, now that Jews have a state in the land of Israel, should we no longer celebrate this holiday, right? For completely different reasons as their Reform counterparts. And this year is no exception. There is a Jewish state in the land of Israel. Jews have returned there. They have built up the land. It is no longer a place of exile for Jewish people. However, the heartbreak that we embody on this holiday and the heartbreak that we are feeling in this moment is intertwined inextricably with the historic and present-day heartbreak of another people who also dwells in that land. We cannot just observe this day as we have observed Tisha's B'Av of the past, only sitting with our pain, only legitimizing our heartbreak for our own people. We are here. We're not there. If I were there, I actually could see and feel the ways in which it is nearly impossible to expand one's heart, to try to encompass the trauma of the other when one is so deeply immersed in one's own trauma. But we are here. And from here, I believe we must see a bigger picture, a bigger we, a we that includes all people who yearn to live in peace and who want to make sacrifices to live in peace, who deserve to live in peace and raise their children in peace and see their grandchildren live in peace. And they're there. And they're there on both sides. And if you hear yourself saying that they are not there on the other side, then you don't know the them well enough. We as Jews cannot be an island of grief on our own. We cannot give in to Lamentations as it describes us being alone, forgotten, shunned. I want to ask us on Monday night and Tuesday, as you sit on the floor and light a candle, to let your heart break. Yes, of course, for our people and for the people for whom your heart most naturally and easily breaks. And also for the people for whom you do not usually cry. We have to grieve. We must grieve what has happened, the totality of it. We can't undo everything that has been done. We can't wind back the clock. It is heartbreaking, all of it. All the lives who have been lost, children, soldiers, people who by no fault of their own inherited this conflict and are its victims. The sacred theater of this day asks that we grieve all of it, all of its tragedy and horror, and give proper kavod, respect to that heartbreak, to give our grief a place. Our tradition asserts that the Messiah will be born on Tisha B'Av. Interesting idea, right? The Messiah will be born on Tisha B'Av. So whether or not you believe in a messianic era or an actual person who will be the harbinger of better days to come, I think this tradition is a suggestion that the seedling of hope for a different future comes from sitting in the pain of the present and believing that by learning from the past and changing something in our response for next time, we might be part of birthing a different future. We might be from wherever we are. And so my hope and my prayer is that in our doing something differently this year, we might be part of changing the narrative from one of collective loss and inevitable tragedy to one of collective hope and resilience and peace. Can you hear Ratzon? I want to invite everyone to stand. This song is a prayer that all of our people and that all people be released from darkness to light, from subjugation to redemption. Shabagala Uvisman Kariv. This is a prayer for Tisha B'Av from Rabbi Yael Shai. She writes, place upon all beings peace, goodness, blessing, life, grace, love, and compassion. Bring us to our knees in the face of suffering, and let us feel your presence in the midst of devastation and pain. Let shared sorrows and communal grief soften our hearts, and let us turn toward each other with kindness and love. Open the paths of life, generosity, kindness, justice, compassion, wholeness, and peace. Help us see the blessings and perceive the goodness of our lives. Please help us rise again and again and again into the light of possibility. May our broken hearts find comfort. May our grieving souls know love. And together may we create a world of harmony, justice, and peace.
Amen.
parents, I invite you to remain standing. Everyone else may be seated. Again, we're in a large open space, but we just want to take a moment to go around this space. People can share the name aloud of whomever they're remembering today. And we might not be able to hear you up here or over there, but the people around you will. So we'll start over here on the left. Bruce? Kind of in the back as well. Kind of coming here to the front. Elizabeth. And here on the right. May all their memories be for a blessing. We're in the bottom, page 4. Yitkadal Vitkadash Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayachon uvyomechon uvchayed zachol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala ubizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam umei almayam. Yitbarach v'ishtabach v'ipa'ar v'roman v'naseh. V'tadar v't'aleh v'thalal Shemei tekudusha brichu. La'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Yehi zichronam livracha. May their memories be a source of comfort and blessing to all of us.
Well, I don't want this night to end, but technically this is the end. But that is to say, let's close out with a prayer for peace, as is the Jewish custom at the end of every important prayer to sing an Oseh Shalom. So I'll invite everybody to get back on your feet, because you know what? We should rock out. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel amen.
Good job. First one. Really? What? You're welcome.